Well, good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Michael Soothing here. I wanted to make an afternoon video so that I could relax you and reduce your anxiety level before facing the coming week, since as we all know, there's a little bit of hysteria going on in the world right now. So, in light of that, I'm relaxing today with a little bit of barefoot Merlot. It's really quite yummy as a Merlot and not very expensive. So, where is this from? Look, it's the most awarded vino brand. See there? Most awarded. I wonder if that's true. It is Modesto, California, where it's bottled, but I don't know where the vineyards are. Anyway, it comes from the hot wine-growing regions of California, Central Valley, or Napa, one or the other. Look here. In order to commemorate spring, I have gone and gotten myself a fishing license. I'm going to cover up my real name since I have a few haters. Wait, let's see here. Cover up my name and address. I actually had haters show up on last week's video, but I blocked them. They give you, remember they used to give you a little card for a fishing license? Now they give you this big piece of paper, like this, mostly blank. They just print it out off a printer. They call it a recreational portfolio, in case you have additional things like hunting licenses or two-rod things or something like that. Anyway, I'm looking forward to doing a bit of fishing. I'm going to do that within the next couple days to commemorate yet another birthday. But let's try a little sip of the Merlot first. Uh-oh, the heater's coming on. It's very chilly outside today, so my apologies for the background noise. Let me look at the meter. Yep, the meter's picking it up. Hold on. I'm going to turn it off and freeze so that I can properly chat with you. Actually not cold at all. Okay, I turned the thermostat down. Now it will turn itself off in a moment or two. While we're waiting, there it goes. I'll have a sip of this. That's very yummy. Reduces anxiety. You know, our local paper, I got one last Saturday, and I got one again yesterday. And there are all these calendar events listed. Dozens and dozens and dozens of events that shows all the events for each day. This is last week's. You know, you name it. It's like Sayusla Dunes Trail Run, Flow Art with Pam Somebody on March something, Piano House Concert Series, Alzheimer's Support Group. I forgot they had a group like that. Community Coalition Waste Reduction, Friends of Friends, Home and Garden, Crow Spring Dance, Childbirth and Newborn Care Class. So anyway, they list everything under the sun here, right? That's last week's. this week's shows all of the same events, and then a little word behind each one, or in front of each one. Canceled. Yeah. So we're kind of going crazy, aren't we? But I'm not going to dwell on that. I don't want to dwell on the negative today. I'm here to relax you. I've been keeping current on all of the news because that's just how I am. And I'm confident that this crisis will be well contained. Everything that can be done is being done. I have a novel. I would have taken a novel approach. You know what? I'm trying to relax you, so let's do a moratorium on the C word, and instead I'll tack my comments at the end of the video about that, the current status and why you shouldn't worry. I'm going to do this. It looks a little bit more professional. Not that I am professional anymore since I'm retired, but let's talk about other topics instead. For example, why don't we read Dear Abby? Objection to dress code threatens to sink cruise. Is that Tom Cruise? Oh no. I think something else will sink that cruise before the dress code issue comes up. So this is already obsolete, even though it was printed yesterday. This is what it says. Dear Abby, my husband and I have been married for 30 years. I recently retired and we are planning a cruise to Europe. Yes, this is already obsolete. And a 2-month stay, returning on the same cruise line. The cruise line is rather posh. In other words, very uppity, right? Like the Titanic, you know. And travelers are asked to, she puts in quotes, dress appropriately. Which means, essentially, men must wear a jacket to dinner. You know, a formal dinner jacket. You know, not a down coat for skiing, right? My husband is balking at the idea that he should have to wear a jacket on his vacation. I kind of don't blame him, you know. I hate formal functions, don't you? It is so pretentious. And he now says he won't go. Well, that's a little much. Abby, we have already invested several $100s in deposits. What do I do? We are cruising because he will not fly. Signed, Texas wife. Dear Texas wife. Sorry, I know that crackling's going to be really loud because I put the Tascam microphone too close. Let me move it back a little bit so that it's not so loud to you when the paper crinkles. Crinkling noises can be relaxing, but not if they're bursting into your eardrums, right? Okay. Should I do some ear to ear? I have my water here that I can do when I'm not sipping the vino. And for those of you who say, no one should ever drink, remember Jesus' first miracle was turning water into wine. And not just any wine, but the very finest wine, it says. So Jesus had a penchant for quality, by the way. All right, now, dear Texas wife, you have already accommodated your husband by booking a cruise when we went to church today, half the people were not there, by the way. And there were many other things that had changed. For communion, the priest was doing hand sanitizer first and skipped several of the things that are normally done. No holy water in the foyer. I'm not Roman Catholic, but Joanne is. So we visit both evangelical churches and the Catholic Church, alternating. But it's fine because the essential doctrines of those two huge branches of Christendom are really the same, at least at this Catholic Church. Your salvation is by faith in Christ alone. But anyway, let's not diverge into theology at this moment. I told you I would do a different channel for that in the future. But I would recommend that if you have anxiety and are struggling with sleeplessness over this unfortunate turn of events we're having, which is impacting everyone in some way or other, just remember that you should consider the most important things in life, which is your spiritual condition. Now, I'm not here to give you a sermon. I'm here to relax you. A little sip of vino will relax me as well as you. By the way, I am not tense. I am not frightened. I am not upset. I'm very relaxed. And that's why I hope my spirit of relaxation will come through to you. Dear Texas wife, you have already accommodated your husband by booking a cruise instead of flying. Besides which, you're not going anywhere due to the spread of... Oh wait, it doesn't say that. Could his problem be that his jackets no longer fit him? That sounds like a backhanded insult without knowing all the facts. She's making an assumption. He doesn't want to wear his formal jacket because the buttons will pop. If that's the case, buy him a jacket that does fit. However, if this objection is that he really doesn't want to go, why not take your husband up on his offer to stay home and ask one of your female friends to accompany you? Then all three of you might have a better time. Oh, that was pretty clever of dear Abby. Listen, fuddy-duddy, just stay home if you don't want to wear your dinner jacket. I do have a little sympathy for the husband because I wouldn't go on a cruise where you had to dress formally for dinner. I'm not into that whole pretentious thing. If I want to see that, I'll tune into an episode of Downton Abbey, right? All right. Dear Abby, I am 61 and dating a 63-year-old man, Charles. I live in my own apartment, I pay my own bills, and I like and enjoy life. Charles is constantly at my apartment and ends up falling asleep for hours at a time. That's because he's 63. I'm turning 87 tomorrow and I'm not tired. Okay, but I do get more tired than when I was 27. Okay, I'm not turning 87, but I am getting a year older. It irritates me when he sleeps 6, 7, or even 8 hours at my place. Sounds like they don't have the most relaxed of relationships. He has told me numerous times he doesn't feel safe at his apartment because of the neighborhood. Sounds like he's angling for some free rent. He says that is why he is spending time with me. Oh, it's not because of her. He likes the neighborhood better. I like my alone time, which I do not have often. I'm going to withhold comment. Because I like alone time, but I'm married to someone who says you shouldn't have any. Okay. Filipinos believe in like being like this all the time. Even when you really love them, you know, it's a cultural thing. We're a little different. Us Americans are too independent-minded. I feel Charles is too needy. Am I being unreasonable? I don't think I am, and it always ends in an argument. If you could please give me some advice, I would appreciate your input. Dear input, wake up and smell the coffee. I won't do that, but I will wake up and smell the vino. Charles told you he spends time with you because he doesn't feel safe in his apartment, not because he loves your company so much that he cannot stay away. That was my first thought also. What did he do before he met you? Where did he sleep then? Huh? The library? The libraries are closed these days. Let's see. It isn't unreasonable to want your own space, particularly if you are the one paying for it while he snores away for hours. If the status quo isn't what you want, it's up to you to change it. Okay. Dear Abby, I think this is the last one we'll do for today, because it's the last one in the column. In class, I sit next to a girl who is constantly telling me she likes the way I smell. Isn't that better than sitting next to a girl who constantly tells you she doesn't like the way you smell? Okay. I don't know if she's flirting with me. Duh. This guy must not have a whole lot of understanding of how male-female interact. Flirting with me or actually likes my cologne. Should I confront her or tell my teacher? What is this guy, 8 years old? Or should I drop out and move to Alaska? I am scared. Ready to move in the South. Is this a real letter? Or did somebody, is somebody punking Dear Abby? Dear Ready to Move, your classmate is trying to pay you a compliment. Tell her the name of your cologne and where she can buy some if you are wearing any. As to moving out of state, that smells very unnecessary to me. Ha ha. Abby, leave the comedy to the professionals if you don't mind. What else can we find in the paper today of interest? Something? I'm looking. Give me a moment, would you? Here, have a sip of vino while I'm looking, okay? It will relax you. I don't have to worry about thinning my blood anymore. Blood counts have gotten much, much better on the dual targeted chemo I'm taking. However, I do have some other unfortunate side effects. But I'm not here to talk about me. Look here, SpaceX. SpaceX launches space station equipment. It doesn't say space station, but you're supposed to understand that's what they're talking about. There's a early morning pre-dawn launch. SpaceX. In case you aren't aware, SpaceX is Elon Musk's space company. The guy who also owns or is the CEO of Tesla. And they're going to send people into space who want to do space tourism for a few $1,000,000. So get your checkbook ready if you want to go into space and write Elon a check for 10 or 20 million. And you too can take a little jaunt around the globe. Okay? Since airlines won't take you anywhere right now, maybe rocket travel would. Cape Canaveral. Is it Cape Canaveral again? It went from Cape Canaveral to Cape Kennedy. And now it's back to Cape Canaveral. And Kennedy didn't do anything wrong in the meantime, so I don't understand that. Okay. SpaceX successfully launched another load of space station supplies for NASA late Friday night and nailed its 50th rocket landing. The SpaceX rockets, the way they can save some money, they cleverly put a system in where they return back to Earth. Do I have anything here that can pretend to be a rocket? I don't. This water glass, okay? It launches into space, and it's the rocket. But when it comes back, after delivering its payload, it comes back down and lands by itself. You know, guided and all, back on a launch pad. Isn't that clever? They used to drop into the ocean and pollute the ocean. Not anymore. Okay, so let's see. Blah, blah, Dragon capsule, this, that. I won't bore you with all the details, but I would mention, just for your knowledge, that Elon Musk's company is also putting up a global internet access satellite system called Starlink, using low Earth orbit satellites, so that you'll be able, theoretically, to get internet anywhere using that system. And so I'm anxiously looking forward to the day when I can cut the cable at my house, the cable that goes to the cable TV, because the only reason I have it is for high-speed internet access. And I would love to cut that darn thing. But Starlink has to put up about believe it or not, 4,000 of these satellites before it can become operational. They've put a few hundred up so far, something like that. And they have a long way to go. It'll probably be 4 or 5 years before the system is really operational and working well. Because it's low Earth orbit, it won't have the latency delay that you get with geostationary satellites that are locked into an equatorial orbit over the equator of the Earth. You flat earthers can tune all that out, because all that information, all this space stuff, I know in your mind is all pretend. None of it really happened. Okay, so, but here on this planet, where people are attached to reality, there's actually satellites in orbit around the round globe. Okay, so anyway, on your mark, get set, stop. I believe that's a commentary on sporting events, all of which have come to a complete stop, even at the high school level. I told you I would wait till the end of our video before I talk current events. And I'm not ready to talk current events yet, so let's see what else we have. Whale Watch Week. This is about the time of year when whales are traveling. They're going up the coast? Yeah, they're going up the coast after their mating season down off of Baja California. They are now traveling up to the northern Canadian and Alaskan waters, and we get to spot them off the coast here. There's some good places to watch for whales. Other than when I take a shower, if you happen to see that. But yeah, there's some other times you can watch for whales out off the coast. I actually lost a little bit of weight over the past week, directly related to the medicine I take. Okay. Oregon State Park celebrates the migration twice per year, Whale Watch Week, both in late December and late March. In late December, they're all swimming down the coast, south. Right now, they're going north. Wait a second. Are they telling me even this is canceled? Last year, volunteers spoke with visitors from around the globe. Volunteers count the whales and the number of visitors at the 24 designated sites during Whale Watch Week, which was this coming week, right? But Whale Watch Week, which runs from the 21st to the 29th of March, will not include the volunteers this year. The decision was made in an effort to help slow the dreaded C word, okay? I'm so tired of this hysteria and insanity. And I'll tell you why in a few minutes. I'll give you a couple. Oh, I have to cut this pretty short too because, isn't it crazy the way everyone's running to the stores and hoarding toilet paper and paper towels and hand sanitizer? I think it's nuts myself. Luckily, we have a real good supply here because Joanne is OCD, as I mentioned in another video. So we already had a lifetime supply, give or take a few months. And but I do have to cut my video short in a few minutes so that I can run down to Safeway, try to get some of their latest emergency shipment of toilet paper and Kleenex. But no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to join the sheep, the herd of sheep who are creating the shortage because of their hysteria. There was absolutely no need to create that shortage. Zero. No matter what you do about trying to contain viral outbreaks. Nobody needed to run to the store and hoard all that stuff. Yeah, I can see buying, some surface disinfecting wipes, some spray with bleach, some hand sanitizers, Everybody should be doing some of that if they're in any kind of risk public area that they're touching stuff. And, but anyway, Governor closes. I guess we're to that point in my video where I'm forced to talk about the future of the North Jetty. I gotta see what they're talking about here. It's one area I have fished, the North Jetty, and I have caught a small salmon there, but I had to release it. It wasn't proper size, but it was a beautiful little fish, and I had fun catching it. I caught it on a Castmaster, silver and blue colored, that I was just casting and retrieving. Lane, let's see here. No, I don't have it. Oh, uh-oh. Listen to this. This is coming up in 2 days. What is in 2 days? St. Patty's Day. Green. Don't forget to wear green to your job that you're not going to go to on Tuesday. FPD to conduct extra DUII enforcement patrols on March 17th. People are known to imbibe a little too much on that day. Not that I ever have. Okay, I did once, but I was only 22 years old. And I learned my lesson. The police department will be conducting extra DUII patrols for the upcoming St. Patrick's Day, Tuesday, March 17th. They received additional DUII enforcement funds to help seek out impaired drivers and deter people from driving while they are impaired. The department, along with law enforcement agencies, are making efforts to get impaired drivers off the road. I think that's good. That's a good thing. So, common sense, something about common sense. Department of Revenue urges staying alert for tax scams. Somebody's always making phone calls or emails telling you that you owe the IRS a bunch of money, and if you don't pay them immediately, you're going to get a warrant for your arrest. So if you get a phone call or an email that says anything like that, try to ignore it. What's happening in our region? They have a whole page dedicated to telling you all the events that have now been canceled, which consists of all events. Every school, every club, if they had a 5-person quilting bee scheduled for Wednesday at so-and-so's place. Do you know in California, they closed, the governor there, Gavin Newsom, ordered that all the bars, all the casinos, all the nightclubs, and pretty much all of everything be closed. Now, I don't want to understate the seriousness of this virus at all. This looks a little like a virus, I don't know. I don't want to gross you out, but see, it looks a little virile. But it's a really cool agate that I found on the beach the other day. Anyway, we're still agate hunting, even though the prime season is past. Anyway, pretty much everything has been canceled or closed. I think this is going to create a recession, but I think the government, as Joanne calls it, because she pronounces it phonetically, they teach English in the Philippines that way, so she says government instead of government. Her pronunciation makes more sense, actually. Oh, government. She calls our oven an oven, okay? Oven, the oven. I like her pronunciations. It's kind of fun. Anyway, everything, what was I talking about? I was going to go to that Alzheimer's support group, and now I forgot what I was talking about. Oh, yeah. So Washington State has closed everything, colleges, K through 12, schools, all events, everything. Even the NASCAR race, which I love watching on Sunday afternoon. they were going to run it without the crowd so you could watch it on TV, and the NBA was going to play their games that way. But even all of that is canceled. Now, explain to me how cars going 200 miles per hour with a driver in each one are going to somehow spread this viri if there's no audience there. I don't get that. I think everybody's jumping on the hysteria bandwagon at once because they're afraid to be singled out as the one person or leader or sport or whatever who says, look, we might be going just a little bit too far on this thing. You know, yes, we have to take drastic measures quickly, and of course those measures are being taken. But as I told you in my last video, we should put this into a larger perspective. I know we're going to see, since they're going to rapidly expand testing this week, I'm sure we'll see a giant spike in the number of cases detected in the USA, just as has happened in South Korea and Italy and some other places, even the UK. But keep in mind, at least here in the USA so far, there's a few thousand cases detected. The fatality rate amongst children, for example, is exactly 0, okay? The fatality rate amongst healthy young adults is virtually 0, so close to it as to be 0. The fatality rate of serious illness and complications are fatalities amongst middle-aged to older adults who don't have other health risk factors is essentially 0, okay? 0, there you go. It has to do with a lot of complicated stuff related to immune systems and how various viruses are affected differently by our immune response. The vast majority, probably 99% at least, of fatalities in the US is going to occur in a small subset of the population that is either 70 years old and older and or have complicating factors already, like serious immunosuppression issues, such as taking chemo. So I'm at high risk. But do you see me panicking? No. Of course, I'm going to skip the poker game next week, but no, I'm not panicking. I know I'm not going to get this virus. And even if I did, I'm pretty sure I'd survive it because I'm pretty healthy, in spite of the immunosuppressive medication I'm taking. White blood cells have climbed. Does that mean we shouldn't take this very seriously and take drastic measures? No, we should, and we are, and I think the measures being taken are very excellent so far. But think outside the box for just a moment. I'm not advocating this by any means, but think about something. I had this thought earlier today, and I wanted to share it with you to show you that our approach may be over the top and disproportionate. Supposing you spent all these billions of dollars to protect those at risk, the elderly, people in nursing homes, people with chronic lung conditions or a suppressed immune system. Supposing you directed all the protection at just those who are at risk, and with everyone else, you just lived life as normal and let the disease run its course instead of canceling everything and destroying the economy and the global economy and the U.S. economy and everybody's job and livelihood and interest in sports and school and on and on and on and on. Suppose you did that. What would be the result? Well, the result would be a lot of people would get the virus. They would have mild symptoms, maybe a fever. They would get over it. The fatality rate would be less than 0.01% if you protected all the high-risk groups. And those people would be immune for the rest of their life from that virus because of the antibodies that their immune system would develop, which means that when they're older and they are at risk for a return of that virus, they're protected. Meanwhile, you didn't destroy the life, the way of life that everyone's living. A whole bunch of people would get something like a cold or a flu, but people get that every year already, and it would be essentially no different. But you would put uber protection in place for the people that are at risk for serious illness, complication, or potential fatality. There are ways that could be done, of course. Isolating that segment of the population, most of whom are retired anyway, so they're not going to school or to work or to daycare or whatever, right? So wouldn't that make a little more sense? I'm just saying that maybe we're going overboard. And as I mentioned in the last video, the prognosis for fatalities, at least in the USA, is going to be nowhere near what's happened with some other pandemics in the past, probably even including the H1N1 of a few years ago, which did not see anything remotely like this kind of hysterical response. And the H1N1 was a resurfacing of a similar virus that, influenza, I should say, in that case, that occurred back in 1918, the Spanish flu. Do you know that outbreak infected, they think, maybe a third of the world's population and killed millions, including here in the USA, millions of people? We're not facing that because it worked completely differently in the human immune system. It attacked the young adults, children, infants, middle-aged people, everyone, and was, fatal. It had a very high fatality rate in all the healthy population of all those subgroups. That's not the case with this COVID-19. So I think you should relax a little bit. Unless you are 75 years old with a chronic condition or you're on chemotherapy, I think you should sit back and relax and say, should we as a society go completely berserk and crazy over something that has very little risk to us compared to other risks in life? We lose many thousands of people on the highways every year because somebody's looking at their cell phone while they're driving. Okay? Thousands. Is everyone panicking about it and saying, oh, we have to confiscate everyone's cell phone immediately? Is that the reaction? Maybe it should be, but it isn't, right? So, same with the way people eat. We lose millions of people every year because they're eating junk food. We lose millions every year because of smoking, all right? So of course those two things aren't contagious. Well, they could be contagious because if I see a ho-ho that someone else brought into the room, I might want to go after it. So that could be contagious, but no, I don't really like ho-hos. They taste very artificial. Let's come up with a better chocolate chip cookie. Okay, there. That would be contagious if someone brought it and started eating one. Poor Joanne. She has to now watch her blood sugar also. She's pre-diabetic. She inherited the gene. Remember, she used to do all those candy videos? Now she can't do them anymore. She'll have to do something else. But anyway, that's off topic. I'm just here to be a voice of calm, reassurance, and reason. Of course, I feel bad for those who will lose a loved one or who are themselves heavily impacted or get seriously ill or die, but that's a very, very small subset of the population that's at risk. So you can look up the numbers for yourself and look at the ages. Like by far the most fatalities in the U.S. were in the state of Washington, and virtually all of them were in that category, nursing homes. And so, for the rest of the people there, they're not at risk for a terrible problem of any kind, okay? Even if they get the darn thing. So, relax, take it serious, but don't let it upset you. Don't let it make you lose sleep. Don't let it give you anxiety. You're all going to be fine, I can assure you. And I'm speaking as one of that tiny segment of the population that's at risk, okay? And I'm calm, you know. If I get it and something happens to me, well, so be it. It was my time. I already have my relationship with God fully healthy and intact. So, you know, whenever I drive from the coast to Eugene, which is our closest largish city, or I should say medium-sized city. It's not very big. That's when I'm scared and worried, because there are a lot of fatalities on that highway, because it's one lane each way, no divider, windy, rainy, and very dangerous. And I can tell you, my risk from driving that highway is probably 1,000 times higher at least, maybe 1,000,000 times higher than the risk I face by getting a virus like the coronavirus. So maybe 1,000,000's overstating it, but it's probably 1,000. I can easily make that statement looking at the current stats. And if the thing spreads, of course, I'm already taking reasonable precautions. We went to church today. We sit in the back, so the breathing is in front of us going forward, you know, and everybody's socially distancing. They're in little pockets, all over the church. So I'm taking appropriate precautions. The cardinals, did I tell you this already? The cardinal put out an edict for the Catholic Church, but saying if you're over 60, you could stay home. You know, we encourage you to stay home. And they looked at the risks and responded appropriately. In the Protestant church, we went to an evangelical church. They stopped with the morning handshaking and all of that, and they're taking measures also. So that's all. I don't like the handshaking thing anyway, because I'm germophobic. Is there a hand sanitizer? There always is. Just talking about it makes me want to run to the hand sanitizer. And we don't have to worry about the hoarders who have cleaned the shelves of these things, because we already had about 30 of them around here. long before COVID-19 came along. So now I'm very clean. Can you see that little germ that was right there? It's gone now. Okay, so it's dead. All right. So, have a good week. I really hope you're not terribly impacted by this current crisis. I hope you're not furloughed or losing your job or whatever. But even if you are, remember that the government has allocated a massive amount of billions of dollars for emergency additional sick leave and other things like that. Aid to help the companies who are going to be hurting during this time, restaurant businesses, airlines, cruise lines. All the cruises have been canceled from all the cruise lines for the foreseeable future. The cruises from Seattle up to Alaska canceled all the way through July for now, maybe beyond. I'm going to try to pick up a bargain cruise once they resume the schedule, because I've always wanted to see Ketchikan and Glacier Bay. Been to Alaska a couple times, but only got to Juneau and Skagway and some of those places. All right, everyone. Don't ASMR and drive, and take appropriate precautions. And if you made it this far without falling asleep, please tell me in comments how this has affected you. I care about all of you. All right. And everyone else too, but especially my subbies. Take care. Bye-bye for now.